How are you guys doing? Good? Okay. The Black Friday segue happened for a reason. Because this story is about it. Thank you for writing this, Zach. I was raised by a single mom as well, too, so let's go. Cool. When my two sisters and I were growing up, our mother was rarely one to instigate adventures. As a single mother of three, her priorities included raising her children and making sure the food was on the table. That's not to say that she was in any way devoid of fun, but growing up without much money in small town Texas didn't necessarily offer too many opportunities for thrills. On Black Friday 2008, an opportunity just so happened to present itself. One night, I was alone in my room when there was a knock on my door. "Come in," I said. My mother entered slowly with a smile that immediately caught my attention. It was the same look that she had on her face when, as a kid, she would sneak me confetti eggs at Easter gatherings to crack over unsuspecting relatives' heads. Very cool mom. She put her pointer finger up to her lips. Whatever she was about to say was a secret, and they needed to keep my voice down. She slowly closed the door before tiptoeing over to me, and I saw that she was holding a Walmart circular, the holiday edition. "Bud," she whispered, "look." She flipped to a page that was folded down in the top right corner, and there it was, a brand new, top-of-the-line, super sleek HP desktop computer with the words "Black Friday Savings" splashed across the top of the page. I asked her why she was showing this to me. "Bud, look at the price of that computer. I can afford that." She explained, "What if you and I got up really early on Black Friday, snuck out while your sisters were asleep, and brought this computer as a surprise for Christmas?" News clips of people storming into stores at the ass crack of dawn in order to save some money on their holiday shopping, literally trampling one another, flashed before my eyes. I looked up to my mom, smiling even bigger now, as if to assume that the wider her grin was, the more convinced I would be to participate in this. "What time do we have to be there?" I asked begrudgingly. "We'll probably need to wake up at 4, she whispered excitedly. "Don't tell your sisters, it's going to be a surprise, promise." I laughed at how excited she was and assured her that she did indeed have my word. My mom, she works at our local elementary school as a paraprofessional, helping Spanish-speaking children who have immigrated get up to speed academically. She is the perfect blend of poise, kindness, humor, and gentleness. She's the type of Southern woman who refuses to go to the Dollar General without a full face of makeup, her hair perfectly coiffed, and she always dedicates time to stop and talk to familiar faces she sees while running errands. On the eve of Black Friday, my mom knocked on my door and whispered, "Are we still on?" I was admittedly giddy with excitement for my first Black Friday experience. "Oh, we on," I replied. At 3:45 a.m., we woke up, got dressed, and walked outside to a troubling sight. "Mom, where's the car?" I whispered worriedly. "I parked it down the street last night so your sisters wouldn't hear us travel." She said it so matter-of-factly. This was not her first rodeo. On the car ride to Walmart, I held that circular in my hand, studying the earmarked page to memorize what the computer looked like. My mom explained that once we got inside, that I was to hurry without her, and she would come find me after I secured the goods. She was in full Indiana Jones mode, and I was here for it. We arrived after a short drive and saw that the line had already begun. We parked and hurried to find our spot in the back of the line. Soon after, a Walmart employee came outside to smoke and chat with their family members who were standing directly in front of us. "Yeah, we're pretty sure the computers are going to go fast. Everyone at the front of the line said that's what they came here for." That's what they said. "What's on the floor is what we have, so once it's gone, it's gone." The look on my mom's face transitioned rapidly from neutral to concerned, then mild defeat back to neutral, as if to say, "Damn it, this was too good to be true." Suddenly, Excitement began to build throughout the line. It was almost time for the doors to open. My mom had already assured me that if I was to get a computer, great, but if not, we would still find some other deals on items that we could surprise my sisters with. She patted me gently on top of the head, as only a parent can, and told me that if we came up short, at least we can say that we tried. Her mini pep talk made me breathe a sigh of relief, and I looked forward to strolling through the automatic sliding glass doors with her, all in the name of spreading holiday joy. Then roughly 1 minute before the doors were set to open, a new crowd emerged. They sure waited till the last minute, a woman in her pajama pants behind us scoffed. The late arrivals began to gather directly across from the doors that were set to open within 30 seconds. "Hey, the line ends back here," a man in a cowboy hat shouted. "They're gonna cut the line," a female elementary school teacher warned the masses. Boom! In a flash, the doors opened and the newcomers darted across the parking lot straight into Walmart, completely disrespecting the sanctity of the single-file line of patient shoppers. Then I watched as the people toward the front of the line, filled with rage, all began charging in. I looked to my right to see a mob of my single-file line brethren sprinting, shoving and clawing their way to the front of the store. This is just like I saw it on the news. This is total human depravity. That's what I thought to myself. I stood there frozen in place as I watched the hordes of people charging to the front of the store. I knew my beloved mother, who took pride in raising me to be a gentleman who holds doors open for others, uses his manners when addressing adults, and always lets others go before me, wouldn't want me partaking in this Neanderthal-like behavior. Facing defeat, knowing that those computers were as good as gone, I began to turn to my mom, standing behind me to console her and reassure her that we would find another great gift. I pivoted on my left foot, turned around, and looked down at my mom, whose smile had completely disappeared. Her eyes were wide, her eyebrows were raised as high as they could go. She had a firm grip on her purse straps, and she didn't move a muscle while locking her eyes with mine. Then, in a voice and tone I had never heard come out of her mouth, she exclaimed, "Run!" I stood, catatonic, as I stared back at her in horror. I had never seen that wild look in her eye, or heard her voice be so guttural. I didn't know if she was kidding or not. But after 0.5 seconds, I realized that she was in fact not kidding, and that I needed to turn back around and I needed to move it. I did a 180 and began jogging toward the front of the line. I looked back at a mass of people were flooding in my direction, and my jog turned into a full sprint. I was determined to find that goddamn computer. I dodged moms with rolling carts already filled with items, and innocent children who looked on in tired amazement at the mayhem around them. I ran with my arms in their air at some points like an inflatable tube man on the loose, making myself as thin as possible in the more crowded parts of the superstore. I bobbed and weaved through women's clothing and reached the electronics section to find not one, but several computers in boxes sitting in a pile with a large red bow at the top of the stack. 1 minute later, my mom rounded the corner with her buggy as she quickly scanned the aisle looking for me. "Mom, over here!" I shouted as if I was the survivor on the Titanic waving down the last lifeboat. "You got it!" She cheered excitedly. Her eyebrows lowered and a smile of gratitude was on her face as she approached me, proudly holding the box with sweat dripping down the sides of my face. "Good job, bud." After completing our purchase, my mom and I walked peacefully back to the car with our new computer. "Hey," she said gently, "wasn't that fun?" "For you, maybe," I balked, wiping a bead of sweat from my upper lip. "I shoved past an old lady from the Catholic Church to get that stupid computer." I know, but didn't you just have a little bit of fun?" She said with a grin. I couldn't help but laugh in agreement. We sat in her Ford Taurus and reminisced about the insanity that had just transpired. The entire experience was over in the blink of an eye, but my mom was bound and determined to get that computer for her kids, even if it meant sending her only son into battle. The computer was a huge hit. My sisters and I ripped apart the wrapping paper, and I glanced at my mom, who was smiling from ear to ear. She winked at me, and I shook my head and laughed. My siblings and I spent countless hours on that computer, and my mother and I eventually shared the story about the Black Friday from hell, which included my dramatic interpretation of my mom's voice when she yelled for me to run. My mom is getting older, and on top of her full-time duties and responsibilities as a mom and a grandma, she is the sole caretaker for her mom, who lives with dementia. Despite the toll her various commitments take on her, she still finds time to create little adventures every now and then. Although we never went back to experience a Black Friday shopping spree again, I am grateful for that morning with my mom, because despite how hectic it was, it's a memory she and I will have together that will always make us laugh, bring a smile to our faces, and anytime we see news footage of Black Friday shoppers storming into retail stores during the wee hours of the morning, she and I will inevitably lean forward in our seats and yell,